What's going on? Welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. Your host, Elijah, and we're back here today with another episode. Today is Tuesday, July 7th. Hopefully you're listening Tuesday, July 7th, if not Wednesday, July 8th. We've got plenty to talk about, including the Yankees, including some injuries. We got perfect games getting blown. We got Padres getting beat, destroyed within the last week. We got plenty of updates. We're going to go over the All-Star selection, even though that was last week. Plenty to talk about. Yeah. I've been kind of MIA on socials this past week. I don't know. I've been a little busy, but we're planning to get things shaped up here. After this episode, we're gonna have plenty of social stuff happening, and I'm hoping to get active back on Twitter. I feel like I've been off Twitter just because I'm a Yankee fan. So obviously, if you listen to the podcast, you know I'm a hardcore Yankee fan. Yankees and Diamondbacks, that's my stuff. But the Yankees have been just a miserable team to watch for the last month, and my Twitter feed is just full of Yankee fans just absolutely just bitching and complaining. And I've just been like, you know what? I'm just gonna get off Twitter for a while. And I haven't been on there in like 2 weeks, maybe, or really probably a week, being dramatic. But I digress. Let's get to it, right? So first on my list, obviously, is the Yankees. Now, on my last podcast episode, I talked about the June swoon, but the June swoon has now leaked into July. And the Yankees dropped a series last week to the Minnesota Twins, which has not happened since 2014. Yes, the Yankees lost a series to the Twins, and that has not happened since 2014, over 12, almost, well, I guess about 12 years ago, which is crazy. And to be honest, like there's been 2 days, especially yesterday and then last week, I was debating on whether or not to make a video about the Yankees and where they're at and what's going on. And I just didn't want to contribute to the noise that is the negativity around the Yankees. So I didn't make one. I figured I would just talk about it here. So before we go any further into the struggles that are the Yankees, I will say that last night was a great game. A very important game that they did win against the Tampa Bay Rays, which this is an important series all the way through. Tampa Bay is also 3 games ahead of the Yankees in the American League, or the American League, whatever, Central. I don't even know. I'm having a brain fart on what division they're in, whatever. But I do know that the Rays are 3 games ahead of the Yankees, and the Yankees won last night, which is a great foot forward in this uphill battle that they have. Because the Rays continue to just play great ball and the Yankees continue to struggle. Now, last night, the Yankees did win on behalf of Jose Caballero, who hit 2 home runs, and Ben Rice hit another, though I think they only had 3 or 4 hits the whole game. So, yes, the Yankees won, but it's not like it was an awakening of their offense because Cody Bellinger still struggled. Everyone was still pretty much struggling except for Jose Caballero and then Ben Rice, who came through later in the game as well. But with that, I know a couple weeks ago with Anthony Volpe returning to the team, there has been debate over whether or not Volpe should be the shortstop or Caballero should be the full-time shortstop. And those conversations have been reignited as of yesterday. At the end of the game, the media asked Aaron Boone, hey, with this recent performance, is Jose Caballero going to be the starting shortstop moving forward? Now, listen, Jose Caballero is a good ball player. I don't think he's anything spectacular, but I think he's very much serviceable, and he does a great job being that ultimate utility guy, which is what the Yankees brought him in to do in the first place. Now, a lot of people have been on Boone's ass because, of course, Boone says, we're with where we're at injury-wise, which they have been hit with a lot of injuries. Aaron Judge, Trent Grisham, who just came back. McMahon's been gone, but now he just got back. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries. So that's kind of where Jose Caballero shines. That is where that's why the Yankees got him in the first place, is that so he can kind of sub into these different spots. You need him to play third, he'll play third. You need him to play second, he'll play second. He'll play short, he'll play outfield. You can put him kind of in any of these spots and he'll get the job done. That's what the Yankees need him to do. So all these people that are talking mad shit like, oh my God, Volpe shouldn't be shortstop. Listen, let me explain it like this. you don't want to lock in Caballero directly on shortstop and demote Anthony Volpe or do whatever to Anthony Volpe, because when something else happens somewhere else, whether that's Dominguez or Jazz, somebody gets hurt, you need to be able to put someone who can play the position as well as move Caballero somewhere else who can also play a bunch of different positions. With Volpe not being a utility guy, apparently he can't even play second base. You need to have him ready to play short so that when something happens, Caballero can sub right in, and it works like a seamless machine. And again, that's why the Yankees have Caballero, so that he can be a utility guy. He's not the answer to shortstop. He's not going to be your everyday shortstop, and the Yankees don't want him to be that. That's been blatantly obvious, and everyone's going to be like, "Well, he's the best shortstop we have." Maybe. They're the Anthony Volpe and Caballero both have their fair share of negative downsides to them playing shortstop. They both make a bunch of errors. It happens all the time. It happens. Part of the game. But if you were to ask me and say, Elijah, who do you think should be shortstop, Anthony Volpe or Jose Caballero? I'd say other. For the long term, at shortstop, it shouldn't be either of them. It should not. It should be somebody else. Now, in the back of my head, I've always thought, if we're having so many issues with Volpe, why do we not bring up Lombard? What's going on? What's happening? Now, conspiracy theory here. And I kind of wanted to wait to talk about the buyer-seller topic I have later, but I'm going to bring this up here. I think the Yankees are going to make a bid for Tarik Skubal. I think that people think that's a long shot, myself included, but I think that they're going to put some serious chips on the table to get Tarik Skubal at the deadline. Now, I know the Yankees have, when healthy, you're talking Carlos Rodon's on the IL, but if he's healthy, then Garrett Cole, Cam Schlittler, Max Fried, and then you have Will Warren and then Ryan Weathers, and then you add Tarik Skubal. But who says you don't get rid of Weathers and Warren and then you add in Skubal? I don't know. There's just a lot of different variables, and you throw in maybe a Spencer Jones, you throw in a Lombard. I don't know, but I think that there's a reason why they have not brought him to the big league level, and I'm also skeptical of my own take, because if you wanted him to have a lot of credibility, you would have brought him up to at least showcase what he could do in the big leagues and then deal him. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff. And again, I don't know why, if they're not going to deal Lombard, why has he not been in the conversation to play short? I don't know. I do not know. But I'm going to be honest. Yes, last night Caballero played great. We're not going to take that away from him. He had a great game. Yes, he played against the Rays. It's his former team. Did he want to show them something? I don't know. I'm just saying, neither of them are the answer. If you're asking me who I think should play shortstop, it's somebody else. I think if the Yankees are going to find, I know that they had a lot of weight. Brian Cashman has said it in the past. They've had a lot of weight thinking that Anthony Volpe was their guy. He was going to be the guy. And ever since his, 24 year, because 25 wasn't great, and then this year's been kind of he just hasn't shown that oomph that they've needed to play that position. And again, we're no strangers to know that the shortstop position in New York for the Yankees is a big spot. You're filling some big shoes. Duh. I don't know. If you ask me, neither are the guy to do the job, but we're here. And I don't blame Boone, because yes, you need Caballero to be able to move around. And I don't care how many fans are going to get upset, get pissed off about it. It's the truth, man. It's the truth. If you know ball, if you look at the roster, the way that it's constructed, as good or as poorly as you want to interpret it, Caballero needs to be able to move around, and Volpe's going to have to play that position until they make some sort of move. Maybe they get somebody at the deadline. I don't know. But I also wanted to note that, the shortstop position for New York is not the problem. It's just not. I've been watching the Yankees. I watched the Twin Series. I watched the game last night. Listen, Anthony Volpe's batting .242 with a .600 OPS. It's not great, but it's not the worst on the team. Ryan McMahon's struggling really bad. The catcher position is if you were to ask me what the biggest need is for the Yankees right now as we head into the All-Star break next week, and then in 2 weeks we have the deadline after the trade deadline after that, which a lot of people are going to start. It's going to pick up. The biggest problem on the Yankees lineup is behind the plate. I believe that wholeheartedly. Austin Wells is batting a $140 or something like that, and has regressed like, you think he honestly this whole year has not been good for him. He's struggled all year. You thought, okay, slump, but now we're heading into the fourth month of the season and the struggles are continuing. This is not a slump. This is like, what is going on? And listen, you look back, you can look, the Yankees have had a problem behind the plate. And I think this goes back 2 years. I think we go back further than that. In 23 or 24, the Yankees had Jose Trevino, Rortvet, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Austin Wells. They decided to part with Rortvet and keep Jose Trevino and Austin Wells. Great. Fine. Next year comes. They decide, okay, we're going to have Escara. We got Ali Sun. They have a little bit of depth, if you want to call it that, at the catching position. We got some guys we may see. We're going to trade Trevino, keep Wells. And again, that made sense. It made sense. Trevino wasn't a powerhouse behind the plate. He was great. He can manage a game great. He called a great game, but he wasn't great offensively. And at that time, Wells showed more promise offensively. I get it. Cool. They trade Trevino, who's a friend of mine. I was mad about that. But they trade Trevino. They get Fernando Cruz. They bulk up the bullpen. Fernando Cruz has proven to be 50-50, but he's got him out. It's a big jam, so I respect it. So, again, now you're with – and again, you pull up Escara and Wells. Now, listen. How do I say this? I love this. I think that the Escara's story is awesome. The journey from independent ball to making the team, getting invite to spring training, driving an Uber. He's got the story, but he just has never impressed me. Whether that was at the plate, whether that was, behind the plate, I just have not been impressed with him. I don't know what it is. There's just something about him. He didn't seem to ever really have it. So I don't know why they were so hung up on Escara. But they decided to keep Escara and Wells, and then both are struggling. I mean, I think there was like a period of like 2-3 weeks where a catcher hadn't gotten a hit. Like, it was bad. And then they end up moving Escara down. They bring up Ali Sanchez. Then Wells gets hurt. They got to bring Escara back up. I mean, it became an absolute shit show. So if you're going to put a magnifying glass on a position that needs help, it's the catching position. It is. That's what it is. And the bullpen, Doval is not great. You've got 50-50 shots that the guys in the bullpen for the New York Yankees are going to come in and get the job done. I'm even questioning sometimes Bednar. Like, there's so many other glaring problems with the New York Yankees right now that, like, for the last couple weeks, like, I accepted the June swoon. As a fan, I was like, you know what? This is just, it sucks. This is what the Yankees do every year. They're super strong. They suck in June. They sort of figure it out in July. They still probably have a mediocre July, and then they play well heading into the postseason, and then you go from there, right? But here's the thing. Every year, they are fighting for a wild card spot because they can never handle the dog days of summer. That's just the Yankees. And I've learned to accept that as who they are. I got it. I get it. But it's just, I was really worried for like 2 weeks. I was like, fuck. I was like, are the Yankees even, like, at this point, if they keep playing like this, they're not even going to make the fucking playoffs. Like, this is bad. Like, they were a really hard watch for about 3 weeks, about 2 weeks. I accepted I'll say that the first 2 weeks was like, okay, this is the June swoon. I'm going to stick with them. Like, we're fine. But the last couple, I was like, oh, I mean, getting no hit sometimes into the seventh inning, seventh inning is just brutal. It's ugly. I mean, it's tough. But again, to reiterate what I'm saying about this Caballero Volpe thing, it's just not it. Yes, it is a problem, and yes, they need to find a shortstop, but it's not the issue that I think needs the most immediate attention. And what was more funny, and this kind of leads into my next sub point. So yesterday I'm watching the game. Caballero hits his second home run, and you got Girardi talking with Michael Kay, and they pull up this graphic, and this graphic says record with Caballero at short and record with Volpe at short. Now, that was and luckily Girardi called it out. He was like, well, that's kind of a weird sample size because, let's talk about Aaron Judge. Now, again, I've said this multiple times now that, and I think I said on the last podcast I did, that the lineup with Aaron Judge and the lineup without Aaron Judge is just two completely different lineups. The way a pitcher attacks it, it's just different. It's a completely different game. Caballero played 90% of his games at short with Aaron Judge in the lineup. Of course his record is going to be better. When Volpe came up, Volpe played short, but again, played majority of his games without Aaron Judge in the lineup. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that was dumb, but it reiterates the fact of the Yankees without Aaron Judge are a completely different team. And you can't even compare who they are now with who they are with him in the lineup. It's just not even close. And it's highlighting a massive gap. And we knew when Aaron Judge was announced he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks before reevaluation, which I think to today, July 7th, he's still not been reevaluated, which is concerning. But we'll move on to not think about it. They knew that they were going to have to find some way to make up. And maybe that's what the pressure is. Maybe these guys are feeling this amount of like, we have to fill the gap. And maybe that's causing this massive slump that they're on. But I don't know. You needed someone to step up. Yes, Paul Goldschmidt has done a great job, but Paul Goldschmidt, as well as he's played, is not Aaron Judge. And, Bellinger's been nowhere. Rice has kind of hit a lull. Like, I mean, there's just a lot of non-productive at-bats happening, causing this. Which is, it's concerning. But yeah, without Aaron Judge, the Yankees are not anywhere near as feared as they should be. Straight up. But on the bright side, as I wrap up my segment here about the Yankees, on the bright side, Cam Schlittler threw a great game. And to be honest, the reason they won that game last night is because Cam Schlittler threw a dominant 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. I mean, it was an awesome start. He dominated from start to finish, basically. He was just absolutely dominating. I think Griffin Jacks on the other end, again, like last night, Griffin Jacks threw a great game. Griffin Jacks is a great pitcher, moved into the starting role, was a dominant reliever. They put him in the starting role, and he's dominated there as well. I think he had 10 strikeouts, which, again, the Yankees are struggling, so grain of salt, but he still pitched a great game. He was looking really nasty. His stuff is dirty, dude, all the way around. But Cam Schlittler was the story of this game, and he's the reason that the Yankees were given the opportunity to really come out. Because if you have a weather start and he gives up 6, those runs are kind of for naught. It's a completely different ball game. So 100%, obviously Cam Schlittler named an All-Star. We're going to go over that later. But he's definitely a front runner for Cy Young. I mean, what's his ERA? ERA at 2.01. Dude, I mean, that's pretty damn good. So, and again, here's one thing I'll say. So Cam Schlittler came out at the end of the game, and he had a very interesting post game where he was like, "They want to fucking say that I've regressed after one bad start." And he's had a couple. June was kind of 50-50 for him. He had a couple great starts. He had a couple clunkers. Part of the game, man. It's part of baseball. It's going to humble you, right? So understandable that he's going to have kind of a 50-50 June, and it tracks with the June swoon. But if Cam Schlittler, and I the way that he talked about the game last night, which again, yesterday was an important game. It was. I don't care what anyone, that was a really, really important game because of where the standings are for the Yankees and the Rays. The Rays obviously leading the Yankees by 3 games in the AL Central. So this is an important series, no matter how you split it. It would have been great for them to sweep the Twins, which they should have done, and come in and took the series from the Rays. It would have put them in a really great spot. But Cam Schlittler knew that he had to come into this game and dominate. And he was like, they want to say I regress, which a lot of people were talking mad shit about Cam Schlittler. His last couple of starts were kind of But, if he's got to sit there, like he did it against when they played Boston in the wild card last year, when he faced Connolly early in that deciding game 3, I remember that he was like, I'm getting death threats, and they're talking shit on my family because Cam Schlittler is from Boston, from the Massachusetts area, and I mean, listen, if they got to make him a mixtape, if he's got to go full David Goggins every game, just people talking shit about him and his family and how good and how he's not good and all this shit. And he's going to come out and give 8 strong, 4 hits, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. If that's what it takes, give him the mixtape and let him just let him run with it because it's going to work. So interesting from Cam Stiller, but definitely excited, especially to see him in the All-Star game. It's pretty cool. But we'll move away from the Yankees and whatever dark cloud is over them, or maybe the cloud's dissipating. I don't know. We'll move away. And we'll kind of go to a different dark cloud, which is the Pirates, who have gotten some disappointing news. So we know that O'Neal Cruz was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury, if I've got that right. So on June 10th, he was retroactive to June 8th. He had non-displaced fractures in his 4th and 5th metacarpals of his hand. And that was a 10-day. So it's going to be some time. I don't know. But they're missing him already, who was batting like, I don't know, he was playing really well. Just absolutely tearing it up. Oh, well, look at this. How about this? He's swinging a bat already, so that's awesome. But anyway, it's not who we're talking about. We're talking about Konnor Griffin, who made an awesome, awesome play on Sunday diving for a ball, but turns out that there was some sacrifice for that play because he tore a tendon in his ring finger. He's out 8 to 10 weeks to torn tendon in his left hand. It's his ring finger, which sucks. So not only are they now out Konnor Griffin, they're now going to be out. The crappy thing is that he just got off. He just got off the IL, if I'm not mistaken, not too long ago. Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to stabilize his finger. Oh, he's batting .276 with 5 homers, 276 with 5 homers, 25 RBIs, 20 stolen bags. That's a big loss, man. That's a big loss. Yeah. So looks like they're saying 8 to 10 weeks. Damn. And they need him. So now they're missing him and O'Neal Cruz, which are 2 pivotal bats in that lineup. And we got to talk. I haven't talked about Paul Skeens. Listen, I'm the kind of guy who Paul Skeens, I tune in. When I always tune into Paul Skeens starts. For the last couple, I've just been nervous because he hasn't been the same guy. Now, I know D-Row on MLB Central broke down Paul Skeens, and I kind of went through and I checked Baseball Savant and I checked, a couple other places before this episode to kind of refresh, because I knew if we were going to talk about the Pirates, I was going to have to talk about Paul Skeens. Let's see. So, excuse me. So, Paul Skeens right now is pitching to a 3.62 ERA. I know his expected is like 2 something. I'm kind of eerie about expected stats. So, I'm not even going to take that into consideration, because I can be expected to throw a 1, but I'm going to give you a 6. Like, it's stupid. It's kind of more for the beginning of the year to see what guys are going to do. I get it. But expected 2 something, he's throwing a 3.62. So D-Row kind of mentioned on MLB Central, he was like, yeah, everything's down, and it is. You look at his velo, it's down. Spin rate, down. His break on his pitches is down. Now, a lot of people, obviously, this year, there's been, how do I say this? There's been a lot of people talking about the World Baseball Classic, and we know that Paul Skeens threw that really intense game against the Dominican Republic to send the U.S. to the finals. I really don't want to be the guy to blame it, but there have been a lot of guys this year who have just not pitched well that were participants in the World Baseball Classic. I think it's different for pitchers than it is for, hitters and defensive players. I do. And especially with guys who are throwing like Paul Skeens, who threw an incredible game that day. It's just, I don't know. But it's weird. They played the mechanics side by side, and I'm kind of like, is it something mechanical? Is it fatigue? I don't know. I don't know. I think that they're, again, I looked at the things that they were showing, and I mean, there's a little bit more of separations a little bit earlier, but even then, that wouldn't cause that much of a dip in velocity and break. It's just kind of weird. Although Paul Skeens seems like the guy who has so much dedication that this will be filled, this will be figured out sooner or later. He's gonna figure it out. Whatever he's got to tweak. He's that guy. He's not gonna be that guy that's just gonna fall off. We're not looking at a Zach Gallen. And again, I don't mean to shit on Zach Gallen, but that's a weird situation in itself. Conversation for another day. Paul Skeens seems like the guy who's going to figure it out all the way through. I think that he's hit a little bit of a lull. Everyone does. In the big leagues, you got to continuously transform yourself because eventually everyone will figure you out. These are the best players in the world. So I think that we just got to give Paul a minute to figure it out. And to be honest, their pitching rotation, even without him, even with him pitching to a 3.62, Ashcraft, Chandler, Jones, Keller, and Skeens, like all of those are solid pitchers. Those are all going to be, they're all doing great things right now. They're all dealing. So even with Paul Skeens doing that, hold on, let me send this real quick. Even with Paul Skeens not performing to the Paul Skeens that we know, they're still going to be fine. I think the starting rotation for I'm trying to find the standings because it's going to fit into my next topic here, but the starting rotation is not the problem. The defense has been a little bit iffy, which I think is a bigger question mark for them. I think if you look at their bullpen, I mean, besides Soto, who's been 50-50, their bullpen has struggled. That's been the bigger issue. Now, again, I want to hold off before I talk about the deadline because they're all definitely on my topic to talk about. But at the same time, why is this not pulling up the standings? Okay, so they're 3 games out behind St. Louis and Washington, with Miami, who's on the bubble, who's got that spot. So I think that they can still technically make the playoffs. That's kind of the next big question. Will the Pirates be able to make the playoffs with a struggling Skeens, with who they have? Do they need to make any deals? And again, we're going to hold off on talking about whether they're going to be buyers or not. I personally think they're going to be buyers. But I truly think that unless they bomb, I mean, absolutely just fall apart, Konnor Griffin ends up taking extended time or comes back, isn't the same guy. Cruz comes back, isn't the same guy. Their bullpen completely just shits itself. Paul Skeens elevates to a 4.5 ERA. Then it's like, yeah, that they might be screwed. They might be screwed. But I think that if they can tighten up, Paul Skeens figures it out. These other guys keep dealing. At the deadline, they find some pieces for the bullpen. Defense cleans it up. Offense keeps stroking. They're a team to watch out for, truly. But it's going to be one of those things that we have to wait and see. Now, moving over to the Marlins, like I just mentioned. So on Sunday, I was watching a TV show. I didn't really watch much of baseball this weekend. I was doing a bunch of other stuff. And honestly, the Yankees were not fun to watch, so I wasn't even really paying attention to the baseball this past week. But, I was watching a TV show, and I'm like, I don't think there was a lot of night games because this was late afternoon. I was like, I don't know if anyone's really watching. Is anybody really wanting to watch? And so I just check, and I see that there's a perfect game. Eury Perez for the Miami Marlins is throwing a perfect game. And I'm like, oh, shit. Of course I'm going to tune in. Who's not going to watch that? So I put it on. I watched the 7th. I watched him finish the 7th. I'm like, hell yeah, here we go. And he doesn't come out for the 8th. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, his pitch count wasn't that high. What was it, in like the 70? I mean, it wasn't even that high. Let me see if I can find what his pitch count was at. Yeah, he was 6 out. 90. Okay, so yeah, you know what? Even then at 92, maybe depending on how he finishes in my head, I'm like, okay, he's at 92 pitches. Even let me back up because I forgot about that. Let me back up. So I'm watching, he finishes the 7th. I'm like, 92 pitches. That's high. What are the chances he finishes the game? So I'm sitting here like, okay, let me think about this. So 92, if I'm managing him, and this is not even taking into account what I'm about to say later, I'm thinking, okay, he's at 92 pitches. He's got the 8th and the 9th. You know, depending on where he's at, how he's feeling after the 8th, if it's intact, I'll send him out for the 9th. That's what I was thinking. Then he doesn't come out for the 8th, and I'm kind of like, what the hell, 92 pitches? He had just returned from injury and was on a pitch count management, but no one, I guess, really put 2 and 2 together there. Even Sacramento fans who are not even fans of the Marlins were like, wow, like shame. Like they were screaming at McCullough. And honestly, it made sense. I didn't even think about it. And when I saw that he was coming back from injury, yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, I get it. I understand. But people seem to not jive with that. They were not cool with that. So here's what I'll say. Anyone who knows, one thing I will say is people were kind of upset because they were like, it wasn't even an arm injury. It's an injury. Why would he extend it? Why, you're going to need this guy with where the Marlins are. They're sitting in the wild card spot. They're right now. They are. If the season ended today, they were in line to be in the playoffs. You're going to need this man. Why? It's more of a team effort. It all comes down to the team effort. Do we want him to throw the perfect game and give it all he's got and then risk once again re-aggravating an injury? Maybe he's compensating because he's scared of re-aggravating it, so he injures something else. There's a lot of variables into this, right? And with pitchers, we're weird. We're weird. We'll go out there and have the game of our life, give it everything we got, and then something's going to feel bad tomorrow. So I as unpopular of an option or a decision it was for McCullough to pull Perez and that spot, I agree with it. 100%. It was the right move. It did suck that when they pulled him, he literally, the next batter loses the perfect game. He walked the guy, and then they gave up a blue hit to right field. I remember I watched it. And I was like, man. And then they almost lost a game. I think they ended up winning 9-8 or 8-7, 8-9. I don't remember what it was, but they almost lost a game, which was crazy. It was crazy, but that's how baseball goes. But I agree. I think that was the right move all the way around. I think that was the right move, and I think Perez understood what was happening, and he handled the post game great. He wasn't mad. He understood the situation. And again, with the Marlins and where they're at, you got to look further than this. You got to look at the big picture. And the big picture wasn't throwing a perfect game. It was them going far in this whole thing. So it tracks. It made sense. Now, another team that is just absolutely just bothering the shit out of me is the Padres, man. The Padres have struggled mightily the last, honestly, the Padres are such a weird team. Such a weird team because they're not bad. Jackson Merrill, Cronenworth, Tatis, Machado. I mean, they have they got a bunch of great players. Their pitching staff isn't. I will say that their pitching staff, besides Michael King, is pretty tough. It's not great. Last night Walker Buehler's given up back-to-back 6-run outings, which is not good. And he's one of those guys who's really fallen apart. I think he's had some flashes of who he used to be, but far from the man that closed out the World Series in 24. Let's see. I just remember last week I was folding my clothes and they were playing a midday game against Chicago. What'd they lose? Where is it? No, I went too far. 23-3. That was crazy. They were measuring the Cubs the TV broadcast people were measuring their home runs in miles. That's how many they were hitting. Just an ugly look. But so let's go back a couple weeks for the Padres. Let's go back a couple weeks. So if we go back to the week of the 19th, or the week of the 14th of June. So that was a series with the Orioles. They won that series 2 out of 3. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. Then they lose 2 out of 3 to Texas. They swept the Braves, which was strange. Swept the Braves, but the Braves have been struggling with some injuries. lose 2 out of 3 to LA, get swept by the Cubs, then swept by the Dodgers. Oh, I'm sorry, they won one game. They won 1 of 4, and then got beat last night 8-0 by the Diamondbacks. And then they have the Diamondbacks for another 3 games this week. Then they have Toronto. What I will say is this: the Padres are a team that have baffled me for years. They baffled me when they went and got Juan Soto from Washington, and then that didn't work. And then they went and buffered up their bullpen. They got Mason Miller, they got Tatis, they got Machado. They had all they went and extended Merrill in center field. They got King, and then they still just cannot put it together. And I'm just like, what is wrong? And I think that there's just something else. Obviously, AJ Preller has shown his will to want to win. There's no question that he wants to win. But what's going on? Like, I mean, you got Machado struggling. He's batting $190. Gavin Sheets 236. Jackson Merrill's 217, which is low. Bogart's 231. Laureano 203. They just DFA'd Nick Castellanos, who was batting $191. Tatis is batting 282, but people are shitting on Tatis because he's not hitting for power, which I think is so stupid. Listen, if the guy's getting on base, if the guy's giving you ample chances at the plate, why are we shitting on him? He's got 5 bombs, which is low, but he was still getting hits. Like, he was still batting 2-something when they were shitting on him. And now he's batting 282 with a 725 OPS, which is, the OPS needs to be better, but the 282 is good. That's going to show eventually, that's going to pay off, right? Campusano behind the plate, 281. Fermin, 152. Cronenworth, 179. I mean, dude. I mean, your top guys here, if we're going to go by at bat, your top biggest guys are going to be Cronenworth, Fermin, Laureano, France. Ty France is batting 254, which is not bad. And Duar batting 257. It's okay. Gavin Sheets, 236. And then we go up. The 217 from Merrill and the 190 from Machado are glaring pieces. And then, like, if we look at the pitching, by innings, Michael King's done well, but it's still a 352. Then Walker Buehler, who's second in innings pitched, is 507. Vasquez, 471. Griffin Canning, 671. And then it goes down from there. Wandy Peralta, 233, and he's only got 46 innings. Morejon, 46 innings, he's 352. Mason Miller's a shining light, 0.98, obviously. But, I mean, like, all this is just, it ain't good, man. It's just not, it's just, they're going to have to do some stuff, whether that's trade some pieces, buy at the deadline. And I think just knowing who the Padres are as an organization and the moves that they've made historically, they're going to buy at the deadline. No questions asked. They're going to buy at the deadline. But they're just, I have yet to understand why they struggle so mightily. I don't know. I don't know. They have all the talent. Is it a clubhouse culture thing? I don't know. It baffles me. But here we go. We'll move on from all this doom and gloom. I feel like a lot of teams I've talked about today are just going through it. The Yankees, who hopefully are on the up and up. The Pirates, who are dealing with injuries. Perez, that's not really a negative one. And then the Padres. Let me see. But I did want to talk about, I found an article. I thought it was interesting. I didn't read it. I wanted to wait to read it on this podcast. But it's where, and this was from Mike Axia. I don't know how to say it. On CBS Sports. Listen, if you're looking for baseball news, CBS Sports is underrated. I'm going to be honest. It's underrated. I don't care what anyone says. I read The Athletic. I read MLB. I read Bleacher. This is underrated. I think there's some good stuff here. Anyway, so it's got all 30 teams and whether they're buying or selling, which I think is interesting because as I read his, I'm going to whether I agree or don't. First off, of course, my Diamondbacks. We're not going to talk about the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks won yesterday. Brandon Pfaadt has been pitching really well. He's been pitching really good as of being brought back up from AAA. He had a really miserable first half of the year. Then he went to the bullpen. Then he struggled there. They put him in AAA, and then they had to move him back up due to injury. And he's pitched well. But it says that they're buyers. So says Mike Hazen. Mike Hazen always says that. He said it last year too. And yeah, they should. They missed the postseason the last 2 years since they went to the World Series in 2023. That's been their only postseason trip since 2018. They hang around. Of course they hang around. Where are they at? They're always hanging around. But they can never, like, really put it together. Where are they at here? Gordon, come here. So they're in second place in the NL West over granted, Padres, San Francisco, and Colorado. They're 14 games back. They're not going to win that division from the Dodgers. But again, they're behind Pittsburgh. They're 3.5 games back of the wild card behind Pittsburgh, Washington, and Seattle. Again, they're not going to have Corbin Burns. They've been dealing with a lot of different injuries. Zach Gallen hasn't pitched well. Merrill Kelly hasn't pitched well. So I don't know. I think that this next 4 weeks are going to be crucial. And I feel like I say that all the time. Every 4 weeks is crucial for the Diamondbacks because they're always hovering right at 500. But of course, they need to be in a little bit stronger position to justify getting some guys. So we're going to see there. The A's are a soft buyer. They've had a losing record since May 1st. The A's are kind of weird. The Braves are 100% buyers. I agree there. Baltimore Orioles are buyers for now. Where are the Orioles at? Let's see. So the Orioles are currently sitting at 42 and 49. I hate this little. Let me turn on my brightness. I can't see this stupid gray line that separates the clinchers. So Houston is 1.5 games back. The Houston might make the playoffs. These guys say they're buyers for now, but I don't think that they're going to. I think, what does it say last week? Operations Mike Elias said they consider the O's a buyer, but needs more time. I don't think so. I don't. Like at 42 and 49, you're 3.5 games back. You've got to outplay Toronto, Minnesota, Houston, and Texas. With the Athletics falling, a game behind you, Boston kind of on an upswing there as well. That's tough. I don't know. He says buyer for now. I disagree. I think they're going to just sit. Boston Red Sox. Seller trending towards buyer. And like I just said, so the Red Sox are in a weird spot. They were playing historically bad over the last couple of weeks, have had this weird upswing. They beat the Yankees in a series. They're playing good ball. Sonny Gray is pitching really well. But the thing with Boston is this. The thing with Boston is that they're either going to sell a farm or buy. It's not even going to be like a soft one or the other. It's going to be a hard buy or a hard sell because they're either going to have to go all in one way or the other. Not like the Orioles where it's kind of like we're going to just kind of see what we're doing. They're going to buy or sell hardcore one way or the other. And they have great pieces. Ranger Suarez. They have Aroldis Chapman, Sonny Gray. I don't know. They got plenty of guys that they can get rid of to really build up for maybe next year. It's going to be interesting, but I don't know. This is crazy. If you asked me today, where are the Red Sox at? Let's see. So the Red Sox right now are 4 games back. Another one. They're tied right there behind Baltimore, 4 games out of the wild card, 40 and 48. 2 or 3 more good weeks. They're back at a 500 club. They're playing a series of the White Sox, which they should win. Interesting. I don't know. Cubs, of course, they're going to be buyers. White Sox, buyer with an exclamation. I can see that. The Reds are sellers. Yeah, so Hunter Green made his debut, which I feel like was not publicized enough. I did not see anything about that. And he didn't do great. They're 19 and 35 since May 1st. Yeah, the Reds are not doing great. Yeah, I agree. They're going to sell. They have too many pieces. If they're 19 and 35 since May, Hunter Green came in and didn't make a difference or change. They can sell Nathaniel Lowe at an up. They can sell Brady Singer at an up, Tyler Stevenson, and they can ride with Jose Trevino behind the plate. And then obviously Eugenio Suarez. Guardians, buyer, sure. Rockies are always sellers. The Detroit Tigers are going to sell. I mean, Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal are the people there. The Astros say they're buyers. We'll see. We'll see. Kansas City seller 100%. Los Angeles Angels, we're not even going to touch that. Mike Trout. Why does Mike Trout not wave his claws and go win something, man? God. Dodgers are obviously buyers. Miami Marlins better be buying. Listen, I got a friend that plays over there, John King. He's been pitching really well. The Marlins have been a surprising team to watch. They're 20-6 in June. It's exciting. It's really exciting. They better go buy somebody. I don't know. Maybe they're going to be shocked the world and get Tarek Skubal. I don't know, but they need to buy. Milwaukee Brewers are obviously going to buy. Twins are going to sell as they always do. Mets are going to sell. The Mets are toast. The Mets are so toast, bro. They fired Mendoza. They have Freddie Peralta. They're going to trade him. They can trade AJ Minter, Brooks Raley, Clay Holmes. They're going to sell everybody. Get ready. The Yankees clearly, obviously, going to be buyers. Let's see what it says here about the Yankees, just out of curiosity. The Yankees have the AL's best run differential by more than 50 runs despite their 7-game losing streak. Yes. They've lost several core players, Judge, Fried, Stanton, due to longer injuries. Bullpen help is needed, absolutely. A right-handed hitting catcher, absolutely, is needed. Obviously, we knew they were going to be buyers. We just talked about that. Philadelphia Phillies buyers, yes, we knew that. They're on the up and up after having a terrible start to the year, and Andrew Painter didn't make it. So they're definitely going to be in the runner for Skubal, or maybe even Casey Mize. The Pirates are going to be, I hope they're buyers. Cardinals, sellers. They were at the beginning of the year. I thought that they would, they were playing really well, but Lars Nootbaar is a good piece. Obviously, I said a couple of days, or my last podcast, maybe a couple of podcast episodes ago, I said about Dustin May, who's continually pitching well. He was on short rest and threw a great game yesterday. So Dustin May has just continued to just pitch really well. The Padres, again, I don't know. I stated earlier, buyer. They're going to buy. I don't know if it's going to work out, but they're going to buy. San Francisco's going to sell. Mariners are always going to buy because they're going to want their, where are they at? They have an outstanding, right now they're winning their division. And 47 and 44, right, hovering like a couple games above 500. Interesting enough, I think that they're going to buy. They're kind of sneaky, man. They have a really great starting rotation. And they have so much starting pitching that they were running a 6-man rotation between Bryce Miller, who's just absolutely shoving. I think the Rays, I agree with this. The Rays are going to buy and sell. They're going to clear some spaces. They're going to trade Shane McClanahan, Drew Rasmussen, and they're going to get some other pieces that they need because the Rays are going to stack up because they're all in. Rangers say they're going to buy. I don't know about that. Toronto's going to buy, I'm sure. And the Nationals are going to sell. Absolutely. They have some great pieces. CJ Abrams, James Wood, they're going to sell. I think that they're around 500, but with their schedule and how the things are going to line up, I think they're going to sell. And they have some great pieces that they can build off of. So they're going to get a big return for some of those guys. And now, the All-Star selections. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to start off. There were some snubs. If there were Bryce Terang off the bat that I was thinking of, Sonny Gray, all snubs. Who else got snubbed? Logan Gilbert, 3. No, I don't believe in that one. I do think 100%. Aranda, Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras has been kind of in a weird spot, but Jonathan Aranda, snub. Sonny Gray, snub. Logan Gilbert, Josh Young, 297, snub. Nick Martin, no. Davis Martin, no. Ashcraft, yeah. Obviously, Paul Skeens was going to get invited, but I think it's kind of fucked there because he's pitched really well as well. Colson Montgomery, Ellie De La Cruz, no man, no. I don't listen. Ellie De La Cruz, I understand the hype because his ceiling is it's so high. He can be one of the greatest shortstops we've ever seen, but he's so streaky and he makes errors and he plays wild because he's young. But we got to chill out with this. Not a snub. Michael Harris, no. Kyle Harrison, 100% snub, though he kind of turned it off. He's 8-1 with a 2.82 ERA. How do you not? Bryce Terang as well. JJ Weatherholt, no. Zach Wheeler, I think Zach Wheeler, especially with it being in Philadelphia, should have gotten it. And then Robleski, I haven't watched enough of Robleski to know what's his stat line. 280, 10-2. Yeah, that's pretty shitty. I mean, the thing is with pitchers that there's so much competition pitching-wise, I think, and obviously with defensive players as well, I'm just kind of like, the Zach Wheeler one, I'm wondering if it's because he doesn't have enough innings. He's got 80 innings, though, and it's in Philadelphia. I mean, Christopher Sanchez obviously going in there. He's probably going to start the thing, but it's kind of weird. So just some big snubs. Obviously wanted to start with the guys who didn't make it. Now let's kind of talk about the guys who did. I don't want to look at snubs. I just talked about my snubs. Where's the line? This is the problem, man. No, I don't want the replace. I swear, MLB has a hard time. Okay, here we go. So on the National League starters, we got Drake Baldwin behind the plate. Yes. Shohei Ohtani was a shoot. We knew that was going to happen. Freddie Freeman, of course. Ozzie Albies, yes. Max Muncy's had a great year. CJ Abrams, I mentioned, is probably going to get traded. Brandon Marsh, who came out of nowhere, having a great year. My girlfriend loves his hair. Just kidding. She thinks it's disgusting. Juan Soto, of course, and Andy Paez, who's had a great year. When you think of Andy Paez last year, who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, great resurgence there. And we look at the American League. We got Shea Langeliers, yes, who's had a great year. Jordan, best hitter in baseball right now by far, yes. Nick Kurtz, yes. Ernie Clement's kind of just a fan favorite because I don't think his stats are really that great. Let's see. Oh, 293. 293, not bad. Okay, sure. Oh, Junior Caballero, yes. Bobby Witt, of course. Mike Trout, who's played great this year, yes. Byron Buxton, yes. And Aaron Judge. Now, we know Vlad was elected, but he said no. Aaron Judge is hurt. Let's see. Bryce Harper is going to he was selected by Commissioner Rob Manfred as a legend pick. Yes. Mike Trout as well. Yeah. So again, I mean those are pretty solid. You can't really some of these are awesome. Like first time All-Star, CJ Abrams, Brandon Marsh, Paez. I don't know if Ernie Clement, Shea Langeliers, Nick Kurtz, all these guys are first timers, so it's awesome to see. I'm excited. This is cool. I can't really argue with any of these. So congrats. Those are I'm excited. I always watch the All-Star game. People don't like it. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Home Run Derby What? Some people don't like to watch the All-Star game. I think it's fun, man. I think it's just fun to see those guys go out there, the best of the year, go out there and just play with no strings attached. I think it's fun to watch. It's just a good watch, man. I think it's fun. The Home Run Derby, we still don't have all the participants. Obviously, we're probably going to get some guys who were elected. And I'm excited. The cool thing about the Home Run Derby is, the last couple of years has had a lot of, and I haven't talked about this. I'm probably going to make a social media video about it. But the thing about the All-Star or the Home Run Derby was the way that they formatted it the last couple of years was weird because it was on timer. And they had to take X amount of cuts, as many cuts as you can, which tires, fucks up your swing. You name it, there's a lot of cons to that style of Home Run Derby. We are now taking away the timer. It's strictly outs, which a lot more people are going to want to participate in because it's almost like taking it at your own time. But the whole thing, the reason they changed it was for time. It takes forever. And it does. I've been to a Home Run Derby. I went in 2000. Whenever Josh Hamilton broke the record, I was there. It took forever. But it was fun. It's exciting. Don't put a time limit on it, man. Just let it go. Let it run. That's what makes the Home Run Derby fun. Let's see how many they can hit. So I'm excited. So right now we have Ben Rice, who was announced today is going to participate. And we have Junior Caballero, who's going to participate. So we have two guys. I'm sure there's going to be probably about 6 more. We'll probably get 8 to 10, I'm assuming. So it's going to be exciting. I'm pumped. I love All-Star Weekend. I love All-Star Week. I love the Home Run Derby. I love all that stuff. So it's going to be exciting. Yeah. That's the episode. So fun fact, I've recorded this episode 3 times. 3 times I had to record this episode. So you better enjoy it because it was a pain in the ass to get this done. The first one I did and my computer glitched out and I lost my recording. The second one I did, the sound was jacked up, so I had to restart that one. And now here we are, 3rd time's the charm. Yeah. But once again, guys, I appreciate you. If you're still here listening, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, rate the podcast. It really helps with the algorithm, helps get my name out there. So I appreciate it if you do. If you're on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, all that junk. I say it all the time. I'm not going to say it today. If you want to talk ball with me, if you think I'm an idiot, let me know. I love talking ball. It's what I do. But yeah, thank you guys for listening again. I appreciate it. And we will catch you guys in the next episode. I can turn it off.